Hey, hello, everyone. So glad we could be together today. It's Olympics in the world. It's Olympics time over in Tokyo, Japan. I've been to Japan. I love being in Japan. Been there many times. Big crowds of people would come and see us there. And now the Olympics are there. Except the Olympics aren't what they used to be. Not when I was a kid and growing up. And Olympics used to be big. Of course, when I was a kid, we only had like four big channels, and so in the evenings, the one of the major networks would cover the Olympics, and people would watch it. And then cable came in, and then cable channels would carry, but everybody watched it, and people would become famous, like especially gymnastics in the summer, and swimmers, and then they'd end up on cereal boxes, and they become household names. Not so much today, huh? Yeah, today they say nobody's watching them. And I don't watch them. I don't pay much attention at all to them anymore. That's just me. Maybe you do, but I don't care for them to mix something. I want to see the sports. I want to see talent. I want to see strength. I want to see winners. I don't want to hear politics. I don't want to know what they believe. And I don't want them to, I liked it. They say, why did you like the Olympics? Man, I remember watching it with my family, and one of those gold medalists would be from the United States, and then they'd play the national anthem. And our person, our girl, our boy, or whatever, be, that man, that woman be standing in the center, and they'd play the national anthem, and my family would get around. Man, that made us feel so good. And I think people like that. And so now they kind of lost that, and it's not that anymore. Now people aren't watching anymore. Well, that's up to them. But anyway, it's Olympics time. And so I was reading, the Bible talks about the early Olympics, and it talks about that, and it says, do you not know that those who run a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize. And I've seen a couple of races already, all the runners running, except, what I got stuck in my mind? You know what's stuck in my mind? It wasn't the Olympics, but that bicycle race that they had over there in France. It's not really funny, but it's stuck in my head, right? All those bicycles on the road, and that lady that jumped out in front of them with the sign. I don't remember what the sign says. Jumped up in front of them with the sign, and all the bicycles that crashed, And man, those people, they trained and trained and trained. They wanted to win. Every one of them wanted to win. And she was kind of at the front of the line, and jumped out there in her excitement of whatever the sign said, and crash. And all that hard work went for nothing, And so, and then some of them got up and tried to keep going, and some didn't, So, this says, though, the runners, and we have in the Olympics a lot of runners, and they run to win, or they swim to win, they jump to win. And so we got to think in terms of what the Bible's saying is you got to think in terms of winning, not just running, not just participating. And that's the problem we have today. We got a lot of participants, but not those who are participating to win. And I'm trying to instill in people to run to win. Keep going until, here's what I like. I've been saying, keep going until victory becomes the habit of your life, until victory is a habit, right? You just have the habit of thinking in terms of victory. I don't give up. I don't change course until I get victory in whatever area you're doing. So this is what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 9. It says, only one gets the prize. So you keep on running. You're not running just to run. You're running to get the prize. I got some over here. I got the Passion version. It says, isn't it obvious that all runners on the racetrack keep on running to win, but only one is going to win the prize? So that's what we do. We keep on running. And I see people today, they kind of start getting, couples today, men, women today, they kind of start getting the vision of victory, and they'll come to me and they say, pray for me, talk to me, instruct me, disciple me. I just feel like there's something special, some kind of calling, some kind of something on my life that God wants me to do. And that's great. I am for that. I know that feeling. I had that feeling. I knew that all along after I became a Christian. Well, even before I was a Christian, I felt like, man, there's something going on. God's got something for me. And I wasn't even serving God, But after I became a Christian, started serving God, I had that feeling. I felt that way, and I know that feeling. But the difference was me is when I got Jesus, I got filled with the Spirit, I'm speaking in tongues. I made the choice to start thinking in terms of victory. I'm going after a prize. I'm going to run this race to win, not just to run. I'm not running. See, when I started running, I didn't run just to exercise. No, I ran to win. And I began to think of like a winner, and that God was going to be for me and God's going to help me win in every area of my life. Well, today I see couples, and because Kathy and I were married, hadn't been married very long, but we were married. And I began to think that way. And today, then I see couples today, or singles, it doesn't matter which, and they tell me those things. And then I look at their life and I see over here and over here and over here, they're not working to win in every area of their life. So I'll see them, and I'll see their kids. I'll see attitudes. I'll see character flaws in their life. I'll see, over here I can see like, there's some character there, and there's some pride over here. And then I look and I see like, well, you're there. You're just really getting into God here, aren't you? And then I see the kids are totally neglected. You got to win the victory with your kids first. If you can't reach your kids, how are you going to reach the world? If you can't convince your kids that Jesus is Lord and worth serving, well, what are you going to do with anybody else? That's why the Bible teaches you got to be able to win your household first, and then you go to the world. And so and so people don't get it. And all of a sudden, there's so much into yeah. So you got to run this race and start the race, and make victory your habit in your finances, victory your habit. And win the race at home, in the marriage, in your kids. And that's what I started doing. I'm going to win here, 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 here. And then I started learning how to win in the ministry also. So win every single direction. You can't start winning with God and then look over here and you see your kids are pulling away. You got to win that victory too. See, you got to win in your relationship. You got to win in your finances. And so I get people like they want to run the race and win the prize and become a prophet. They want to win the prize and get a healing ministry. They want to win the prize and become a great preacher. And I said, well, how about you become a great parent first? You get my point? You got to start the race where you are and start winning now. Don't look down and say, well, I'm going to become a winner. You got to start winning now, whatever's going on. Make victory your habit and start winning now. Start running now to win now, not running now to exercise, work out, and you're going to win later. No, you run to win now and get the prize. And so anyway, this talks about then everybody who runs goes into strict training. I was looking over here. Just give me a second. I was going to see what the Passion Bible says here. They go into strict training, and discipline. It says discipline training, and the NIV says that's good. Strict training. They do it. They want to win the crown that lasts forever. So here I wrote down on this paper here, to be effective, then to start being victorious, to win, to run, to win. You watch those Olympics. You don't see somebody just showing up today, and they just put on a jersey. And you say, well, who are you? Well, where'd you come from? So I just flew in today, and they put on a jersey, said, I'm ready to compete. And they haven't done any practicing. They haven't trained for anything. And they just want to run the race, or they want to swim, or they want to jump, or whatever it is. No, to be effective, you have to have strict training. It's that. And so these runners, we'll stick with the race. These runners, they've had a routine. See, they've trained in a routine that brought them to the Olympics, that gives them the opportunity to win the prize, to run to win the prize. So see, if you want to win, you run, you need a routine for your life. You need a prayer routine, and you need a worship routine and a thought routine. In other words, if you want to run to win the prize, then you can't just let your mind go wherever it wants to go. You got to win this mind thing. You got to think, keep your mind fixed on Jesus. See, you don't let your mind go. You don't get jealous. You don't get prideful. You don't get uppity. You don't judge other people. You don't sit there and think, well, I know what demon they have. They got that demon over there. Maybe, I'll go cast the demon out of them. When you got all kinds of pride and ego going, and you're better than other people, and you like to be seen, how spiritual you are. You got all that kind of character thing going, and going in your life. Well, you need to start winning that stuff. You need to go into training. Train yourself. Train your mind. Train your emotions. So strict training. And a runner also, if they're going to run to win, they got to go a strict diet. They got to have diet. They got to go to routine. And they got to start, they start thinking, I got to go to one place, and then I got to exceed that one place and start going to a better place and exceed where I was before. So, in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is you can't be, if you want to run to win with Jesus and the power of the Spirit and really excel in this, and I hope you do, you can't be led by impulses, just impulsive living, right? Impulsive living. And a lot of times, people are concerned to what they just do whatever they, impulsive living, just do whatever you want to do. And you've got to understand that you got to start telling yourself what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. You tell yourself what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And a lot of people can't tell themselves no. They can tell other people no. They can tell the kids no. They can tell somebody else no, but they can't tell themselves no. And that's where you begin to train. You train like a champion is what it says. I think that's Passion. I think Passion Bible says, train like a champion. Well, if you're going to train, then you got to shut down those impulses and tell yourself, this is the way it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to live. And you start training in every area of your life. And in the early days when Kathy and I, we were in traveling ministry, and I got the routine of that, because we'd go and, you travel, you're on the road, the bus is going, and I'd get a routine, and I didn't break the routine. We'd land in some city and meet, here's the pastor, maybe we just met him, and they'd shake the hands and they'd show us the church. They'd give us a tour of the church. They'd set up the equipment and stuff. And then they'd usually want to give us a tour of the town and go, well, we'll take you over here. This is the coffee shop and ice cream shop, and there's the mountains, and we usually go here, and here's the shopping, and they take everybody around in the ministry. But not me. I had a routine, and Kathy knows this to be true. And I'd say, no, I can't go. I have a routine. My afternoons particularly, but my whole day, but my afternoons particularly, were set aside with God and the Word of God all afternoon. Especially if we had church that night. I said, we got church tonight? I do not go running around on church day. I do not go socializing, and I do not go running around. And that started to be my routine for my life. And I didn't go with the impulses. I wanted to stick to my routine more than I wanted to go get ice cream or shop or go do something. And Kathy, usually she'd stick right with me too. And so I had to learn to subdue my body, that my body would do what my spirit needed to do to be able to win, not just run, not just be in the race, but to be able to subdue this and keep going so that I could win this thing. You see? Well, then later we began to pastor, and I stayed in my routine. But then when the revival days hit and we started having, I had to preach 5 and 6 times a week, 4, 5, 6 times a week. And then when we travel, I had to preach 4, 5, 6 times a week. And then we'd land somewhere on there, we'd fly someplace and they'd have 3, 4 services a week. And then we'd fly back and I'd have those again. Well, how do you keep up that routine? Well, my routine was of preaching. My routine was not just preaching. People say, I don't know how you preach all those sermons, because I didn't preach the same sermons. I stayed with God all day and get a sermon for that night. How do you do that? Well, it was my routine. Every day I shut myself up with God. I didn't go running around in coffee, and I got misunderstood a little bit by church folks, because they thought, well, you're the pastor. Aren't you supposed to 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock you have breakfast, and then you mosey over here, and 11 o'clock you go have 10:30, 11 o'clock. Don't you have coffee with some of the people in the church and some of the folks over here, and just you have coffee with people, and then 12 o'clock you have lunch to 1, and then at 1 o'clock you go over here and you talk to a few people in the church again, and meet with the pastor and shoot the breeze, and then maybe you go back to where you're staying and look at your notes a little bit. And, I said, I don't do that. I shut up every single day with God, got a fresh touch from God, and prayed every day, and I subdued that. I didn't. That's not what I'm living for. And I tell people, I met you, if you're old enough to know who David Wilkerson is. I was on a TV program. We were guests on a TV show, and he's the one that started Teen Challenge and the church there in New York City and all that stuff, in Times Square Church and all that. And so after the show was over, then he invited me to his home. He said, "Come to be with me at my home." And then he qualified. He says, "Listen, I would love to have you in my home, except for one thing." I said, "What's that?" He said, "If you just come to shoot the breeze, don't come over." I don't shoot the breeze. I just don't do that. And I said, "Well, I don't either." And so you learn to subdue your body. You learn to do that. So if you just want to live, let your body say, "Well, I'm too tired." If you want to win that race, you see those people running and one of them wins, you can be sure that their body wasn't telling them they're too tired. They were tired at times, but their body didn't win that tired. They're not too weak. They're not too weary. They're not too lazy. Have you ever had that? Like, I could really do something, but I'm so lazy. I'm just lazy. I'm weak. I'm weary. I'm tired. And my impulses, I just like to eat and just watch TV. And a lot of people, they're just hungry and they want to be entertained, and they have no motivation. They have to be motivated. See? And so we want to have a motivation. We're already motivated by Jesus. I've always been motivated. I get up motivated. Every day I get up motivated, and I start thinking about Jesus and what can I do today, and create today, sing today, be today, pray today. What do I need? I have motivation. And so I don't need to be motivated. I've got motivation. See? And that's where you begin to train like a champion. See, till victory becomes your habit. And so Paul, I like this, and says here, I train like a champion athlete, and I subdue my body, and I get my body under control. In other words, you don't let your body control you, you control it. And you get that. And once you begin to do that, then you can begin to start being a champion, and you start running, not just to run. I like this too. He says, he talks like a boxer. I just don't box. I just don't go around swinging my fists and saying, "I'm a boxer. I'm a boxer. Look how I'm swinging my fists." No, I'm just not doing it aimlessly. I don't run like someone aimlessly. I just don't box. My arms are just flinging in the air, and I'm a boxer because my fists are going. And you ever seen that? Like somebody, "I'm in the ministry. I'm going for God." Well, what are you doing there? You're not winning anything. You got kids out of control. Your mind goes wherever it wants to. You're up and you're down. You're sideways. Your finances are crazy. No, you need to start aiming for victory. Get this area, take an area in your life and subdue it. Subdue it. Don't let pride go up and say, "Oh, I'm called of God. I know God's got something big for me," and not have anything under control. Get this thing under control. Get something and start winning something in one area, and then another, until finally then you'll subdue your life, you'll subdue your body, and you can start running to win. Because I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people over the years say they got this thing going, and they said everything right, but they're no longer in the race today. They become disqualified because they let pride or selfishness or indulgence or whatever, because they didn't set out just to win. They set out just to run, and they're just enjoying the run. You got to run to win. And Paul said that. He said, "Listen, I don't want to do this thing and just run and aimlessly and just do it. And then after I've preached to others, I get disqualified, or I become a cracked pot," he said, "and thrown out. I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm going to train and start subduing different things in my life And so he says, don't just run, run to win. Good. It's good to hear these words during the Olympics, right? And as you see those people running, swimming, and jumping, you'll know they didn't just do that just because they wanted to be on TV. No, they did it. They run to win. Till next time.